Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to the National League, the first episode of the new season. It started with Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal winning, and Chelsea humbled at Stamford Bridge as expected. Nothing like, I don't think it's a surprise. It was a surprise to me. I actually thought Chelsea would win this game. I actually predicted them to win the game, actually.
Crazy.
But listen, Arsenal, same old, same old. Manchester City, Erling Haaland scored. Nothing new. Doku cooked. Nothing new. Savinho looks like Riyad Mahrez. Kovacic is the replacement for Rodri, or is it going to be Gundogan coming back home? Kevin De Bruyne looks fit. Diaz looks immense. Akanji looks great. And Liverpool, a horrific first half and a great second half. Arne Slot looks like he can absolutely fix his mistakes in the first half. We'll talk about that. And also we'll talk about Arsenal getting Moreno. Rory's ill. He cannot make it. And Dan is away. So Ahmed is here with us with the National League boys. Of course, we'll talk about all of that. Hit the like button if you just joined us. Let's get to 200 likes right off the bat. And if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button, people. We want to get to 500 likes on the replay. The like button helps the algorithms, helps the channel. Get your opinions in. Of course, get your opinions in. We want to hear what you guys think. Listen, welcome to the new season. Nobbins, Tom, Ahmed, welcome, guys. New season, exciting as ever. I think it's going to be a fantastic season, apart from Liverpool, who are going to be third, away from the top and away from top four. Unless people think otherwise. But listen, where do we start? We have to start with the game yesterday, right? I want to hear Nobbins' take on the game yesterday. How did he see Chelsea, Manchester City, Haaland, Doku? There is LB yesterday did a stream about Doku, and I didn't watch the whole stream, but it was people like Doku, people hate Doku. What did you think about the game? I thought Doku was actually one of your best players on the pitch, along with Kovacic.
Yes, Kovacic was brilliant, man of the match for me. Rico Lewis as well, sensational. Doku is a very frustrating player in the same way that, you know, Raheem Sterling was a very frustrating player for City. But so you do need to look past that. But what he does offer in terms of value is quite staggering in terms of how he gets City up the pitch in terms of the threat that he does offer. We know the 1v1 take on ability is frightening. For some reason, not good on the right. Kukurea had his number, but then conversely, he has way of gusto basically every single time. So I think long term, it seems that Doku will just be a left winger, and that's how the goal was scored. It came through Doku on that left side. So for all the talk of end product, and yes, he does need to up the end product. He is the reason why we scored that first goal. His positioning on that left side, finding the pass to Bernardo, definitely touch from him. So I was happy with his performance overall. Again, improvements need to be made. I was surprised he lasted the whole game, to be honest, because there was a period from around like the 45th minute to like the 70th where Chelsea were like the better team by a fair margin. Doku kept losing the ball consistently and continually. I thought maybe Grealish should have come on then. But yeah, overall, I was very happy with it. City normally start the season slowly. Pep always gives like our players like a long rest. That's why, you know, Foden, if Savio didn't get injured, for example, I don't think Foden would have seen a minute. It's like he's only been training for like the past 3 or 4 days. So that's a bonus, to be honest. And technically, it's 2 points better off than last season because obviously we drew there last season. So yeah, I was happy with the performance. Overall, still some issues, but I put a lot of that down to early season rust. And overall, I'm a happy boy.
Yeah. Ahmed, Chelsea. Defensive a lot of people actually said that Chelsea were too slow. Do you agree with this?
Kind of. I just think one of the issues that we had is when we started playing at the back, I feel like our centre backs held it slightly a bit too long. So then, but the thing is, at the same time, City was kind of pressing us, and then because we're new to this new playing out the back essentially with the Maresca style, it was a bit more of a slightly slower thing compared to obviously in pre-season where they literally were just able to like once they pressed us, we were just literally losing it like twice in the first 5 minutes. So I just think again, that's something that you're probably going to work out as the more games you play within that system. And I think that's really the sum of the game for me. I feel like actually Chelsea, I don't think we're that bad. I think there was a lot of positives to take and a lot of negatives in the sense that, you know, I think positive wise, I thought, you know, we were able to get the ball forward at least, not trying to, the press didn't affect us as much as it did previously against Manchester City. I think obviously other than that, we created a few chances. We weren't clinical enough. You know, I was saying obviously with Jackson, we know he's not clinical enough, but at the same time, he lacks match sharpness as well. So I personally would not have started him in my personal opinion in this game, but that's just me. In terms of like Lavia, I thought Lavia had a really good performance, you know, in terms of what he was able to do in the midfield. So I want to give him a big up. Obviously, not been here a whole season, sort of getting back into his groove. So I want to hopefully we see him more as the number 6. But I think kind of like if I was to go to my negatives, I just feel like again when it comes to our defense, we know it's gonna take a while to actually get back to where it needs to be. I think at the same time, I feel like our defenders are not proactive enough. You know, that's something I told you, Mo, before. Lack of proactiveness from our defenders, particularly in that second goal. You know, the second goal in particular, Cole should have really just stepped up there because obviously Enzo should have took the foul initially. He didn't take it, but then the defense should have actually come to Kovacic to actually block that before he even goes to Sanchez. And the less I speak about Sanchez, the better, in my personal opinion. And finally, in regards to Enzo, I think for me, you know, I will give Maresca the pass in the sense that this is his first game playing Enzo in a more attacking role. But like, I feel like, you know, it should be really known by now that he just cannot work there in attacking sense, particularly that free roaming role that he played. I don't think it was necessarily like a 10, but it was more so like he was allowed to free roam throughout the whole midfield and get into that attacking third a lot more. So I just don't see how he works there. His shooter is not so great. You know, he was just literally getting his shot blocked every single time by the Man City players, or he'd have a really bad touch in the final third, much like Jackson was. And I think for me, if you're going to play this guy, you have to play him as a deep line playmaker in that 6 role. Otherwise, he can hold bench. I would just say it how it is. Let him hold bench. If that means that the team is going to be much better to do so, then let's make that happen.
Tom, should Chelsea fans be worried at all yesterday? I'll start with Chelsea. Should Chelsea fans be worried after yesterday? I know it's one game, but
Yeah, it's what worried isn't the thing I'd say. I'd say concerns can be had about certain things. I don't think this Chelsea team is of the level of the other sides in the top three. So it's not on the level of a Liverpool, an Arsenal, or a City. It is on the level of a Tottenham, a United. I would say that they have the best player out of all of them sides in Cole Palmer. And then Enzo Maresca's entire thing is to make him basically a touchline winger. And sort of everything good that he was doing last season in terms of being a bit of a free roamer, he wasn't allowed to do yesterday. So Jackson could have the space and Enzo could have the space, and they would just not do anything. I think that I'm all for a manager coming in and integrating their style and putting their stamp on the team. But any good manager would realise that you kind of let Cole Palmer do what he needs to do and figure out the rest of the team around that. I also don't think Nkunku was great on the left wing. I don't think he wants to be out on the left. I agree. I think he needs to be in the middle to do link up, not out on the left. And I get Lavia was very good. But the problems that I thought Chelsea would have this season, the defence, was the problem they had yesterday. The defence. They don't have a goalkeeper they can trust. Robert Sanchez is shit. He was the backup to Jason Steele, who is one of the worst goalkeepers in the Premier League. He's went to Chelsea, and he's been shit. Philip Jorgensen got dribbled past 3 times on a stadium. Not a lot there. Colwell didn't look great yesterday. Fofana looked decent at points. But again, I think that it's a long way to go with Fofana in terms of coming back after 2 long injuries. Cucurella was good against Doku, and then Savinho, oh my God. He had Cucurella any way he wanted him for the rest of that half. Any way he wanted Cucurella, he had. If he wanted to go down the line, he beat Cucurella. If he wanted to cut the side, he beat Cucurella. And Cucurella's lucky that he had to go off injured, because I feel like could have went on in the second half as well. And it probably would have led to a goal because he was causing so many problems. I think what you're seeing now with Chelsea is the result of having so many different managers at the same time, or within such a short period. So many ideas are mashed together that you just end up with a bit of a mess. Like, I don't even think I know that Chelsea fans will probably accept this, but I don't even think Chelsea fans want to see this whole patient build out the back shit. I mean, the fans were booing it basically when it starts in the first half. Whether that's because A, they don't want to see it, or B, they don't believe the players are going to be good enough to do it and it's going to cost them. I don't know. But as a manager, you kind of see that and go, right, well, I just need to get results here. So how can I change that? Because I don't think City were great yesterday.
But that's Pochettino's problem.
Yes.
Tom, you remember that was Pochettino's problem. The pressure got to him, and he's like, okay, I need to change things because I want to get results. He 10 games in, Pochettino abandoned all the position-based football, and he's like, let me reach the goal with a long and then Chelsea fans are like, what is happening at the club? What is happening at the club?
But
that was the problem, Tom.
But Chelsea were winning games.
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't, bro. Last season,
second half of the season, Chelsea were winning games.
No. That's the last 60, bro. After 10 games, for about 10 games, Pochettino completely abandoned everything, bro.
So at the start of the season, Pochettino was out of ideas.
By the way, the position stat was higher than City for the first 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
People forget, like, we had that terrible December, was it called, fixture on. Well, I think we got 1 point in December, if I'm not mistaken. It was like something like that crazy.
Like before that, you were the highest in chances creation and highest in position.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
I just think the fans turned, and then they're like, okay.
I just think, for me personally, listen, if you bring in a manager, you have to, back the manager's ideology. You've said you back the manager's ideology, and you want his style of play to be played. So as such, you said you got to give him time. You have to give Maresca time. It's really as simple as that. You need to let him actually give out his style of play, give him the time he needs. I've said this before, multiple times. It's going to be a lot of short-term pain, with Maresca. Hopefully, the aim is he actually eventually gets everything right. His style of play begins to work, and you've given him the right place for his style to work at the end of the day. Now, I do agree with the Nkunku and Palmer comment. I think at times I feel like our wingers were actually isolated a lot more, and particularly with Nkunku and Palmer, because they're not necessarily touchline wingers. I didn't feel like there was enough times where our win backs.
There was nothing on the left because Nkunku wants to
Yeah.
come inside and Cucurella
Exactly.
wants to come inside. So
Exactly, and
everything
there's
was
no
getting
one
forced one way.
exactly, and no one was Nkunku wasn't even overlapping him, even if we were to say like, okay, Nkunku go inside a bit more. So I think for me, Nkunku's best position is in the middle. Palmer's best position, I would even argue, in this system might actually be in the middle as well. But like, so then you've got another conundrum there to see who you really start there at the end of the day. But we'll see what happens. But I think obviously if you had Madueke playing there, in my personal opinion, and maybe Pedro Neto, but even though I do understand Neto just come from Wolves, you don't want to throw the brother into the deep end. So I got Nkunku for this game to play that. But I feel like Madueke kind of should have started, maybe put Palmer in the middle. Because I feel like at least in Madueke, you're gonna get at least that 1v1 ability to happen and more chances to be created.
Can I ask a question to everyone in the panel, not only the Chelsea and everyone in the chat? Ahmed just said that it has to be patient, the style of play. What is the guarantees that this style of play is good? Because Tom is saying he didn't like having Palmer on the right touchline winger, having Nkunku, 3 midfielders. The defense setup is bad. That is the coldest style of play. What is guaranteed that with patience, this style of play will bear the fruit of you winning? Why is everyone sitting on a style of play? Thomas Frank has a style of play. It's a win the league.
There's nothing guaranteed, but in the first instance, you have to profile your players correctly, and you've also got to give them time as well. Like, this is literally the first season, Maresca, his first Premier League job, so time does need to be a factor. We even saw in the game, as I understand it, Leicester never did a false winger thing where where City, for example, Walker would push up and Foden would go into the middle. As I understand it, Maresca never really did that for Leicester, but we saw a bit of that yesterday, yesterday. That was when the game was, wasn't it? Where Gusto would often or occasionally push up to the right wing. That would sometimes allow Palmer to tuck in, but then partway through the game, Gusto would then go into midfield, as he has done in pre-season. So clearly, Chelsea, Maresca, etc., don't know themselves what is the best solution yet, and I think that's only going to come with time. Although I would say that, so we can't really judge him. Although I would say that, again, you have to profile players correctly. It's clearly not ideal to have Nkunku out on the left, as we've just discussed, or Palmer out on the right, or Enzo Fernandez maybe even on the pitch at this point. So there is no guarantee, of course, but I don't think that this game can be used as a yardstick of, just sack it off immediately. I think that an appropriate amount of time needs to be done. Players need to be played in their best positions. If that means dropping some big names, that means dropping some big names. If Neto needs to start instead of Nkunku and Nkunku start where Enzo played, for example, then so be it. And some people won't be happy, but that might just be an issue of Chelsea's board's own making, and the manager might have to just say, well, I need to do what's best for the team.
You know what I'd say to you, Mo? The next, the next 5 to 6 weeks, in the EPL, at the very least, we're facing a lot of like mid-table to upper mid-table teams. I think that's where you'll really see, if the team's actually progressing with whatever Maresca's tactics is, and if the players are progressing themselves. I think that's where you actually have to, look at. And then if from that at least period, we can at least, have some level of idea of which way it's going to go. That's what I would say to you.
Also, sorry, can I say one more thing? I just want to say,
yeah, of course.
Chelsea were not bad yesterday as well, by the way. I know City weren't particularly good, but there were some moments where Chelsea played some really nice football and bypassed City's midfield, even like not even on the counter-attack, even just when City were in a settled defensive shape. So it's not like this is a case of Chelsea are absolutely abhorrent and terrible. I thought 2-0 maybe flattered City. I thought City deserved to win, but maybe only by 1 goal. Better finishing on the day, better or more calmness by Jackson, for example, and or that moment where all he has to do is just stay on side, for example, and they've equalised. So I know they lost, but it wasn't like an absolute battering and a humbling situation. There were some positives in that game. Again, Lavia, massive positive. I thought he was brilliant.
Their goalkeeper decides to not have a hand made out of cheese strings and keep out a shot.
Yeah, that too.
Exactly.
Like that. I want to touch on City though, because I actually think that Doku reminded me so much of Diaz yesterday in terms of he does everything right except the final part, and you sit there and go, if only you had that fucking final ball, you'd be immense. But that's Savinho. Oh my god, he looks good.
Oh, Savio's lovely.
He looks so good, and that annoys me because I finally just got over Mahrez, and now there's another fucker who plays just like him in the league, and I can't be arsed because it's just every single fucking time. And the part that got me yesterday was this was a City without Rodri, and they
And
still
Foden.
look decent. Yeah, and they still look good. Although I am interested to ask you, I felt like at times there was a massive fucking gap in that midfield.
Mm,
And at times, Kovacic was basically just an island on his own
yes.
until Rico Lewis could get back and cover after he'd attacked. Do you think against the top counter-attacking teams, that's going to be a problem this season?
Yeah. Now, shameless plug. I've today released a video analysing the game. So after Mo stream, go watch it because it's very good, and I'll talk about it. I talk about it in more detail there.
Is it premiering or is it?
It's already out. It's 10 minutes long if you want to watch it after. Yeah, I basically analyse how City set up and what are the positives and negatives of that system. And Tom's absolutely right. We played the long and short of it is we set up in a 3-1-6 with the ball. Emphasis on the one. Kovacic is on his own. As with Rodri, he's not the best in terms of covering space in transition. Going forwards, that could be a serious issue. However, I think that because we also played like that against United, and United and Chelsea set up off ball in the same way. So maybe it was just a very specific use case of, well, this is now the current trend in terms of out of possession play. I'm Pep Guardiola and I'm going to play De Bruyne at left wing, and that will solve the issue. So I'm thinking maybe it was just a more specific use case rather than it will be throughout the entirety of the season. But we shall see. I share your concerns, Ari counter-attack. So yeah, Kovacic on his own is not ideal. If there's Fernandinho in there, like 2018 Fernandinho, wouldn't have any issues, but it's not.
Yeah, one of the things that people said yesterday, and they keep saying that Man City were in second gear. Yes, maybe offensively. I thought City yesterday defensively, they allowed the wingers of Chelsea to have so much one-on-ones with their defenders. Nkunku were driving inside the 18 about every 10 minutes, would have Nkunku inside the 18 facing Akanji or facing Rico Lewis. And maybe a player that is suited to that wing, maybe it was Pedro Neto, would have got the better out of him. That is the problem with City. I agree with you, Nobbins. People don't want to see these problems with City. And that only will be prevented if you have someone who can stop the ball from going there originally, what City used to do. And that is not Kovacic. Kovacic is good in carrying the ball, passing the ball around. He isn't the best defensively, to be honest. And listen, for Manchester City, the thing about Manchester City is that Pep Guardiola has this genius in him. Like, he knows how to get the goals. He knows where his players should be to score a goal. That is the thing about Pep Guardiola. Scoring goals is not going to be a problem for City this season. But until they absolutely have this defensive midfielder and maybe the number 8 next to Rodri that can help, I think maybe that would be the problem. But I think City looked okay, allowed some chances for Chelsea, but people forget that you're playing Chelsea, a young and energetic team at Stamford Bridge. People assume that Man City will not have anything against them. They'll have the perfect
and we conceded 4
every
there last
single
season.
game. Yeah. People think that Man City will have perfect game every game. That doesn't happen often. It doesn't. Like, everyone can see chances. And Ederson was shaky a little bit yesterday.
Can I ask a question though? Because so one thing about Guardiola is that
Welcome, Olo, by the way. If people don't know who Olo is, Olo, Arsenal fan.
Hi. One thing that I always think about Guardiola is that sometimes you say certain things and we palm it off and go, it's just him playing mind games. But actually, sometimes he actually means it. Do you think, Nobbins, especially as a City fan, that when he came out and said the motivation isn't there to the last 10 games, that actually that is a reason, or that might be an issue starting off this season? Because I think obviously he sees what he sees on the training ground. He sees what he sees in the changing room before a game, and if he's identifying already, because usually he says this towards the end of the season. Usually, I remember like 2 seasons ago, he came out and said, if they don't step up, Arsenal will win this league. Him saying it very early, you think that he's seen something in there, and part of the sort of, I don't want to say lazy, because I don't think Guardiola seems ever lazy, but part of that switching off and being susceptible to a counter attack is some of that thing about maybe these players are not motivated enough yet, and he needs to drill into them, and maybe even the scare of what happened on Saturday with some of the counter attacks is going to maybe buck up those players for the start of the season.
I don't. I think that quote has sort of been taken out of context. I think lots of people have interpreted it, or they've just like shortened it, and they've taken the bit where he just goes, we don't have the. I'm paraphrasing. We don't have the motivation to win. Blah, blah, blah. But I think what he meant by that was more so that the title race isn't decided early on, and that it's only when it matters towards the end of the season that our title race mentality switches on. So I don't think that it should be interpreted as we're going to coax throughout the first half of the season, and then if we're still in it, then we'll turn up. So I think it was more just about a misinterpretation. Ari, what he said. For me, this team doesn't need any more motivation. I don't like a lot of Walker's interviews, but he even came out and said, let's go win 5 in a row. Something which obviously no one's ever done 4 in the Premier League. No one's ever done 5 no one's ever done 4 in the English top flight. No one's ever done 5. So when you've got a motivator like Pep, I don't think that motivation is ever an issue. I think that is. I remember like last season or maybe the season prior that there were like some rival fans who were suggesting, what's there to play for? It's like you're working for Guardiola. He doesn't accept people dropping off, and if you do, if you drop your head, even if you've got a bad face in training, then you're out of the squad. Like we all know what happened like Cancelo, and now a child has taken his place and is now apparently a much better player. I don't think lack of motivation is going to be an issue, especially if this is Pep's last season as well. There's no way he's going to want to end on a not competing and winning the title.
Yeah,
I've always felt like Pep feels like winning the Premier League is like his minimum expectation, bro. You know what I mean? That's like we got to be winning that. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like if he has a list, every season minimum expected. Premier League. That's what he's
no. Can I be shameless and say that Arteta gives him sleepless nights, and that's the problem.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's definitely worth.
Tom's face. He's not convinced.
Why? I don't know why Tom downplays Arsenal that much. Like, they look good. You're
on mute, by the way.
Arteta's muting crazy.
I didn't downplay Arsenal one bit.
I saw it in your eyes, Tom. I saw it in your eyes.
I just don't think.
And Pep's got a thing here now.
I just don't think this Arsenal team is the team that's given Pep sleepless nights in his career.
Just while Mo's frozen, can someone please take a screen grab of that pose?
Mo, we need to get a screen grab of that one, guys.
That is crazy. Sorry, Tom, go on.
Pep Guardiola's managed to get a lot of very good teams.
Yeah, she's still frozen, bro. We can only hear you.
That's great.
I don't think 2024, 2025 Arsenal is the team that's given Pep Guardiola the most sleepless nights in his career. I think there might have been one or two other teams in Pep Guardiola's established managerial career that might have given him a couple more problems. That's all I think.
Would one of them include Liverpool? Would one of them include Liverpool?
One of them probably does include the team that got 99 points and beaten to his only Premier League title. Yeah,
that's fine.
I'm sorry. He sees Kai Havertz and he goes, that's a Haaland like. Him versus Haaland this year is what's
chill.
Oh my god! Listen, let's don't get too ahead, bro. It's only 1 in 38, still 37 games left.
I am joking. This is my weird humor. Go on.
How you doing, Mo? Oh, Mo's gone. Right, I'm taking over. Right. So yeah, and that was the game. What else was I happy with? Ari City. Tom's touched on Savio. That was lovely. Kovacic, my man of the match. Rico Lewis.
Oh my god,
Rico Lewis. 90. Oh my god. Mo. Excellent. Yeah, Rico Lewis is 19 years old, and let's not forget the context of he came in to take the place of Cancelo, who at the time for the past 2 seasons was one of the best fullbacks in the world. I know he's become a bit end now, but at the time that's what he was. And Lewis has come in. He took his starting position. He was playing Kyle Walker out of the squad at the time at 18 years old. He's come in now. Stamford Bridge is a really tricky ground to go to. As much as people have a go at Chelsea and banter them, they're still a very good team with very good players. So for him, at the height he is, the physical bulk or lack thereof to do that, to invert from right back into basically a 10 and just be brilliant is just, I can't quite get over how good he is.
He looked more physical than Enzo Fernandez, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, and that is what he needs to do. He needs to do what David Silva did, what Bernardo Silva does. They're not the most physical, but they know how to use their body and manipulate their body. And he did a lot of that. Yes, in fact, there was one moment where it led to a really good thing because where Lewis can't use his body, he uses his brain. So like, the ball was coming over, and I think normally it was coming to his head. Normally, like a player would like chest it or head it back. Like Lewis just like ducked and let it go over him, and then he was away, and then it led to a really good crossing opportunity, and it ended up in a corner. He's such an intelligent footballer, and I really hope that this is like his season where he basically nails down a starting spot for City, because I think he is that good. Whether his future is at right back is another question, because he's clearly a midfielder. But yeah, just so wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Tom, the question is to you, Tom, but is Robo still the best than most left backs in the league?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the left backs
Robertson.
in this league are very good. Yes.
He's not the Robertson of old, but he's still Robertson.
I don't. People act like there is a plethora of really good left backs in the league. Not really.
Even
Like,
our left backs are centre backs.
Robinson is better than him. Gavardiol as a left back is better than him.
Anthony Robinson is not better than Andy Robertson.
Robinson is definitely better than Andy Robertson.
No, he isn't.
Nouri is much better than him. That's my opinion.
Did we all watch? Did we all? Sorry. This is what I do want to talk about in the Arsenal.
Yeah, Leif Davis is better as well.
Bukayo Saka grilled Ait Nouri for 90 fucking minutes.
Grilled him.
Yes. Honestly, he fucking destroyed him. Ait Nouri had not.
The thing about Ait Nouri is that he's more so an offensive guy.
What we
defensively,
but that's what we say. But that's what we say about every single left back or right back that's existed. I swear we always say they're better going forward than
exactly. Yeah, bro. I feel like in recent times it's like a recent time thing, bro.
Ever since Roberto Carlos and Cafu, I've never heard someone say about a left back or right back they're better going backwards than going forwards.
Respect Ake, respect.
Maybe Ashley Cole, man. Maybe
you know what the problem is? It's the same as I'm saying Salah cooked as a left back. He's bad. That's Mohamed Salah. Thierry Henry cooked the defender. The defender is bad. That's Thierry Henry.
Zanetti.
Mohamed Salah would same. Thierry Henry taking Zanetti on a run. Doesn't mean Zanetti is a bad player, but that was Thierry Henry at his prime. What do you expect people to do? You have to double on him. What are you talking about? This is because unless you're downplaying Bukayo Saka's talent.
I'm not. My left back needs to be able to hold their own. But Ait Nouri did fuck all against Saka. Saka's going to
Can I put a statement out?
No, Saka's going to cause.
No, I need to put a statement out. Bukayo Saka would cook any defender that is left with him in the spaces. Any defender in the league.
Ake exists. Chill out.
Bukayo Saka would, at the current moment, Bukayo Saka, Mohamed Salah, leave them one-on-one with defenders. But this is what a winger is. This is why coaches, Tom, they tell their defenders to not defend in isolation.
It is fine for Saka to beat you once or twice. That is okay. Ait Nouri did not stop Saka once in 90 minutes.
Yes, because Saka had like 50 chances. Is that what I'm saying?
But that's the point. My left back needs to be able to stop him at least once or twice. Ait Nouri didn't. And Ait Nouri isn't this... It's not like, it's just Saka that's happened against. Ait Nouri has never been this fantastic defensive left back. I feel like that there's a lot of rewriting of narratives going on with Robertson because he's not what he once was. Andy Robertson is not the best left back in the world like he was about 4 years ago. Andy Robertson is still a very good left back. And you saw that in the second half against Ipswich when he was one of our better players when he got to play in his role. Can he invert? No, because he's not technically gifted enough to invert. But if you're a team that needs a left back to bomb up and down the wing and give you a solid defensive performance for the most part, you're not going to look further than Andy Robertson. Because what left backs in the world do that better? You said Anthony Robinson from Fulham. Anthony Robinson did fuck all against United attacking wise. Not one of his crosses hit a teammate. Defensively, he was okay. But I feel like we're just downplaying Andy Robertson so much here. And we're acting like he's now this shit player who can't even do anything. Even then, you look at the intangibles of Robertson. He's always fucking there, available. He'll always give you a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
I need a shit house. And you know what?
He's a dickhead of the team.
I need a shit house in my team every now and then.
No, of course, that's a compliment.
So I don't agree with the idea that Robertson's this washed guy who most teams in the Premier League have a better left back than. If you were to ask Marco Silva right now, would he take Robertson or Robinson? I say he takes Robertson. Same with Wolves. I think the only teams in the Premier League that wouldn't take Andy Robertson at this point, Arsenal and City, because they need a left back who can pass inside and play as a centre back, and Robertson can't do that. And probably
Andy
Chelsea
Robertson's
because
not
they
even
need
good
one.
defensively.
I feel like
Andy
okay,
Robertson's
yeah.
not even good
Career can
defensively.
still do a job defensively.
What do you mean he's not good defensively?
He's not good defensively as well.
Right, okay, so this is
He
brilliant.
loses his man.
This is
I
brilliant.
think his
This is
positionally
brilliant.
is
No,
absolutely
no,
horrific lately.
No, no,
I think he
no,
lost his head.
no.
I think he's lost
No.
his head.
So Robertson can't defend. Trent can't defend. That's the answer. We have two fullbacks that
Yeah,
can't
but
defend.
you have Van Dijk. Yes, you have Van Dijk.
So is it? So that means Virgil van Dijk is the greatest
He's the
centre
best
back
defender to ever play in the Premier League. Yes,
No,
I said it many times.
No, not just
Oh,
in the
Richard
Premier
Dunn.
League.
Richard Dunn, hello.
Not just in the
mad.
Premier League.
That is
Virgil
mad.
van Dijk is the greatest centre back to ever touch a football in any case because he managed to do everything he's fucking done whilst having to hold two fullbacks' hands because they can't defend. Is that what
You
we're saying?
normally actually push both fullbacks way high on the pitch.
That doesn't mean Robertson can't defend.
Robertson now can defend. I don't think he's good.
What do you
Defender.
mean now?
It will
Robertson's-
cost you. I'm telling you, because Van Dijk is there, it gets masked. That is my opinion about it. It gets masked because Van Dijk's positioning is so elite to the point that he actually covers Robertson about 70% or 80% of the time. He is so elite in stopping the ball from going there as well. I think you're downplaying how Van Dijk's positioning prevents the opposition from actually playing the ball to that left side of yours. And because people target your right side, Robertson doesn't get exposed. Every time a team target that left side, Robertson get exposed. And I think you're downplaying it.
Could you also say
How is it every time though? Because a lot of the great right wingers that have went against Andy Robertson have a shit record against him.
Yeah, back in the days. And I'm telling you from last season, I'm not saying Andy Robertson was the best left back in the world under Klopp 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago. Andy Robertson last season really for somehow fell off a cliff. And I don't know how you fail to see this.
Would you say though that the runners he had, and everyone would laugh? Well, every non-Liverpool fan used to laugh at Jordan Henderson, but the runners he had with Henderson and Gini years back would mask the fact that he can just bomb up front and they would essentially cover for him. And now that he's having to defend, maybe you're starting to see more of the deficiencies that he sort of had. In the same way, like I said, everyone says that a left back is good going forward versus going backwards, and now actually maybe not having those same runners is exposing him a little bit, and also age is obviously catching up with him, right?
Right. So
I think as of recent
I just
times-
wanted to check this. Sorry. You know, Bukayo Saka's never actually scored against Robertson. Or
I
assist
think you
against
want to
Robertson.
take you want to take things out of context. I never
I
said that
know.
Andy Robertson was not the best fullback in the league, was not the best left back in the league. I never said that once. I never actually argued. I never argued about Andy Robertson.
You said Andy Robertson can't defend.
Yeah,
and I've
I'm
just
telling
brought to
you,
the
last
fact that-
season the guy fell off a cliff. Yes.
And
Fell
I've
off
just
a
brought
cliff,
to you the
yes.
fact that
I
in
think
his
that's harsh.
career, Bukayo Saka has
Okay.
never scored against Andy Robertson. What were the great
So-
right wings that he went up against? Who's City's right
Mahrez.
I
winger?
don't know.
Mahrez, he went to
Pinochet.
Mahrez.
Okay,
Mahrez has
Tom,
got a
I
good
think you're dragging. I think you're dragging the conversation to a place that is not my argument at all.
I'm sure
And
How
Anderson
is
Anderson.
it not your
for years-
argument? You
Hold
said
on.
Robertson can't defend.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you literally are taking the argument to Robertson 3 years ago. That is completely different.
Yeah.
That is completely different.
How am I taking this?
Are
I
you
never
saying-
argued that.
How
I
am
never
taking 3
argued
years
this.
ago?
Never.
Mo,
argued.
are you saying, Mo, yeah, that basically he's declined defensively? Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's
He
what you're trying to say.
declined
I think that's
defensively.
fair. Then that's fair.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a fair point.
That's
as well.
all I'm
but
saying.
But I have said
Mhm.
yes, Robertson is not the same player he once was.
That's it. So we
But-
agree then.
Okay, then that's
No,
fair, yeah.
but you never said that. You said Andy Robertson
I
can't
literally
defend.
said that.
You did say
I
that.
literally said
I was
that.
here. I heard that.
You said
I
Andy
literally
Robertson
said
can't
that.
defend.
I heard that with my
I said he
ears.
can defend, but I never
That's
mentioned the
bollocks,
times
though.
before.
That's bollocks, though. How
I
can
don't think
go
you
defend?
understand the point. I don't think you understand the point. Andy Robertson was never the great defender. Was never a great defender. He was a winger that used to go up and down the line, and he had Van Dijk all that time.
God, what are we doing?
And he-
You're
can
now
you let
telling
me
me he was
finish
never
then?
a great
Can you
defender.
let me finish?
Crazy.
See?
Crazy.
I don't think Andy Robertson was a great defender, a great left back defender ever.
Ever.
He wasn't a great left back defender. He was known for his assists, for going up, and Liverpool were always the dominant side. And you had Van Dijk.
What about 1920, Mo?
Now
What
I
about the
can't remember
1920
all of
season,
this.
Judge Mo?
By the way, Liverpool at that season were so dominant that literally teams weren't attacking them. They weren't conceding chances that much. Maybe that's down to the plan. But I'm talking about Andy Robertson as a footballer. He was not known for his great defensive abilities. He was always known for his running and going up and down the pitch.
God. Riyad Mahrez only ever scored once against Robertson.
Again,
Yeah,
you
what
are
a goal it
forgetting
was.
Van Dijk there. You are literally forgetting Van Dijk there.
Oh my
You are
God.
literally forgetting Van Dijk there.
So basically, what you're saying is that because Van Dijk played a lot of the time with Lovren or
Can
Joe
you,
Gomez,
Yeah, go ahead.
Lovren or Joe Gomez, and I'm going to assume you don't rate either of them. I'd say you rate
Who?
Matip, Lovren, and Joe Gomez. What is
Lovren was okay for Liverpool. He wasn't the worst defender
my
in the
God.
history of mankind.
Oh my God! All right, okay. So anyway, so you're telling me that
Lovren was not the worst. Lovren declined at the end, but he wasn't. Lovren
was shit. Let's not beat around. Lovren was shit.
Lovren
shit.
was, in his words, the best centre back in the world or something. So respect that man.
Yeah, and Dejan Lovren might well be the most delusional.
Can someone in the
I've ever
chat tell me, and you, Tom, what is Robertson's best attributes? What does he excel at? What is his best attribute?
This is
Crossing.
Are we talking about the player generally or in 2024?
No. Back in the day. Forget now because we all
He's
agree he
crossing.
declined, right?
Back
Okay,
in the
number one,
day.
let's just put a point. Did he decline?
Yes.
Yes, he's declined.
Of course.
Of course he's
Let's
declined.
go
He's
back.
declined.
Let's go back to Andy Robertson. What was his best attribute? He excelled at what
Crossing.
at Liverpool?
His crossing was
And what
amazing.
else?
It's
And what
crossing.
else?
It's crossing and it's
crossing
pressing,
and
I would say. It's pressing. I've actually
Tenacious 1v1 defending.
His crossing, his engine, and his 1v1 defending.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I would
Robertson
say-
Robertson was the whole package. I think that's fair to
Yeah.
say.
So
Robertson
we're saying that Robertson
was a better
was
fullback
later.
than Trent.
Robertson was a Roberto Carlos level. That's
No.
what we're saying.
No, we're saying
no,
he's
no,
actually
no,
cold.
no,
because
no.
Was he actually cold?
Chill.
Because Robertson is better
Why-
defensively.
Too
Why
much
are
now,
we bringing
too
up
much.
Roberto Carlos?
Because I asked a question.
We're
I
going
asked a
too high now.
question. Hold on. This. We need to take this conversation like in a little bit calmer. I said what
You're
Robertson excel at.
Carlos.
Hold on. I'm calm. You're rattled for some reason. I'm
He's
calm.
brought,
You're rattled.
he's brought out the rattled words.
I am
We
very
found
calm,
his
and
trigger
you're
point.
rattled. Right?
Found his trigger point.
I'm not rattled. You saw me when I'm rattled and I'm shouting and yelling when I talk about Arnautovic and Inter. Okay, let's take it one step at a time. I asked, what does he excel at? You mentioned running, crossing, and defending one-on-one. You're literally describing the best center back in the history of the sport. If there is a fullback that is that good,
Was he
that
the
means
best?
he was the best in the history.
Was he the best left back in the world in 2019? Though, is that not fair to say? Was he not? Am I missing someone? Obvious.
When Liverpool
In the
went on
league,
to-
yes. In the league,
when
yes.
Liverpool went on
No,
to win the Champions League and Premier League,
Marcelo was the best at that time.
In big 2019, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know about that
I'm
one.
just
Big man.
triggering. I'm just triggering him.
Was he not the best? Was he not the best left back in the world at that point?
I would say you could argue there was a 4-year stretch where Andy Robertson was the best left back in the world.
No,
I don't think that's beyond the realms of reasonability.
I think in the league, I would have to check who else was playing at the time.
The only argument you've got is Alphonso Davies towards the back end of it, but I don't think Alphonso Davies has ever been this. You know,
I think that season.
I think from 2018, from 2018 to 2022, Robertson was the best left back in the world. So from 2018-19 to 21-22, Robertson was the best left back in the world. After that, I'll hear other arguments like Theo Hernandez.
I'm sorry, but look.
But
listen,
in
no,
that time, I can't put anyone else.
I'm not having that because actually, when he played for Scotland, they played Tierney at left back because he could defend better than Robertson. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Robertson was way overrated as a left back.
No, it's because Scotland had like 3 left backs and they had to shove them all into the
They had
team.
Hickey, him, and thinking, if I'm not
fraudster.
mistaken. Yeah.
I just love this triggering. I just
Such
love
a
it.
swine.
From 2018 to 2022, Andy Robertson was the best left back in the world, and now I've got Mo trying to tell me he couldn't defend anyway. So what was the fucking point? What am I doing?
Can I ask
here?
you something? Is Trent the best right back in the world for you?
Right now, on the 19th of August, 2024.
Right now?
Has Trent
Yeah,
been
let's
the
say
best
right now,
right
let's
back
say
in
right
the
now.
world?
Yeah, at points, Trent has been the best right back in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is Trent great defensively?
He's not as good as Robertson, but he's not
One
as bad
and
as
one,
Mados.
1-1. Anyone can dribble Trent.
He's got some better over the past couple of years, I'd say, to be fair.
Is he as good
Better.
as Robertson?
I've seen how he was dribbled in the last game against Ipswich, but the ball was offside at the end. But he was literally dribbled like a cone. Literally, you know, in the cones,
What,
he was dribbled like a cone. You can go. But anyway, long story short, I'm gonna get to my point. You can be the best left back or right back in the world and not be great in aspects of the game. You want to make it as Robertson was great in every single aspect of in football. And I disagree. Robertson was absolutely phenomenal going forward. And every club that plays on the front foot would love to have him because I thought he was leading the assists as fullbacks in the league, in crosses as well at that time. And Liverpool were always in the front foot. Joao Cancelo, as a left back, a right-footed left back, was spoken about as one of the best fullbacks in the league. But he wasn't asked to defend. He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing to watch. But he wasn't asked to defend. Why? Because City play on the front foot. Liverpool during that time, guys, under Jurgen Klopp, they were playing on the front foot. That is the thing that people don't understand. Your fullbacks aren't asked to defend as often. Yes, you can defend one time here and there, but you aren't known for your defensive attributes because you aren't asked to do it all over every.
I established.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
I established, Mo, that against every one of the top wingers that he's went up against in his career in the Premier League, i.e. Mahrez and Saka, who were the two best. I don't know if anyone wants to chuck any other names there. What, we put Anthony Martial in the conversation or something? Who was United's right wing for a couple of years? Should we put Willian in the conversation? Every top winger he's went against in the Premier League, Saka is yet to score against him, and Mahrez has one in the Carabao Cup against him.
So
that was outside of his period where I thought he was the best in the world, by the way. So in that period, he was no top winger got shit against him. And yet you're now trying to tell me that Andy Robertson could never defend. I will agree that he's
I never said that. See, I never see.
Yeah.
Don't do what Mo does.
Nobbins.
Don't do what Mo does.
Nobbins.
Don't do what Mo does. Don't do what Mo does.
Nobbins.
Okay, hold on.
Did
Stop.
Mo
Stop.
say Robertson couldn't defend?
Yes,
the
I
words
said he
that
can
come out
defend
of
now. I literally said his
read the
position
detail,
now
man.
has declined.
No, because I then brought up the years in the past, and you still said that. You said your whole point being you can be the best in the world despite
By the
lacking
way,
in certain
I think you
Oh
failed to
my
understand.
God.
You are Tom. I take you as a rational person. You aren't taking the conversation to a point is like polar extremes. It's either he can defend completely. He's a professional footballer that played at left back, but I don't think Robertson ever excelled defensively. He was more known for his offensive attributes than his defensive attributes. How is that unfair to say?
Can I also let me add one thing to this also actually, and I'm going to stop trolling. I'm going to be a little bit more serious. We will know how good Robertson was defensively.
I'm always serious.
No, not you. I'm talking about me. We'll know how good he was defensively now actually, because when you look at all the sort of greater defensive fullbacks as they got older and their attributes, their physical attributes were starting to decline, they could still defend. So you take someone like Ashley Cole, who actually was very athletic, but even as he got older, he was still a very, very solid defensive player, right? Same thing with Maldini, great example. You know, in his 40s, was still able to defend. So we will see how good Robertson as a defender is now that he's getting older. Was it his physical attributes getting out of issues? Was it players around him who getting out of issues, or can he actually defend as a left back, especially when he gets into one-on-one situations? So I would love to see the season if we get Robertson against Saka isolated, Robertson against Savio isolated, or Doku, and see how he defends against them to be able to know how good a defender he is.
Okay. Yeah. Can we, Tom, let's bring back the conversation to the actual points. Okay, so forget the yelling and the screaming and Robertson back. Can Liverpool go this season with Robertson and Tsimikas as their fullbacks? You watched the game the other day. Mm-hmm. Without a DM, you're going this season without a DM, right? That's apparently because they already came out and said they're going to look in January.
I'm 90%
Do you think
sure we're going to
having a Robertson there? Let me just finish the question because.
No, I know what your question is. I was just
but
saying
the people don't know the question.
No, I was just going to add to it. I'm 90% sure we go without a signing this season as well. Like, I don't think we sign anyone.
No,
wow.
I don't think we sign anyone.
And the thing is, bro, you're losing.
Hold on,
bro,
what?
Like,
The whole season, not even in January.
No, that's worrying.
I
you know.
don't think. I think we might go through the season not sign anyone.
They play Moneyball, that's why. So no
I'll
one
be
will see us
honest,
come
man.
up
That
on
might
the-
be a little
And
bit.
they
worrying
don't have
'cause
any money to spend. They're playing ball at this point. They're not
Yeah,
spending
just
any
they're
money.
playing
It's just
ball.
ball.
They're not
ball.
even playing
Just
money
ball.
ball because they're not even investing the money
Yeah.
anymore. Like that's what they. So like, if I'm being honest with Liverpool, like I think the worry I've always said of Liverpool, like at least this season, it's not even going to be their tactics or anything like that. It's really depth, and the thing is, you're losing depth, like right now. And if you don't get anyone in, one or two injuries to one of your main stars, and you might be in trouble.
Yeah, everyone says, "Oh, if you get one or two injuries to your main stars, you might be in trouble." Yeah, if every team gets
that happened
injuries to
last
one or
season.
two of their stars, they're in
Did he
trouble.
not argue that last season when he started
Well,
losing one
Haaland
or
was
two of
injured
those
for
guys?
two months
Ironically,
last season, and Man City still won the league, though.
Ironically,
Yeah, but they still had other stars in the
was
team, but they still
injured.
had other biggest.
Hold on, Tom. Let me just double down on. Thomas Partey and Juris Timber were injured the majority of last season.
fuck off!
Here we go.
Fuck off! Thomas
go.
Partey, he played fucking 6 games. Let's not
Yes.
act like
Yeah,
that.
but
was a
that's
fucking-
my point.
Oh
But that's
my
my point.
I think he's trying to.
Ari-
That was my point. I don't understand what Tom. You don't. What, Tom, you're not
You're in
listening to what I'm
Timber.
saying.
When
Hold
you're
on,
on about
Tom,
when
you're
on
not
about-
listening to what.
when you're
Tom,
on
you're
about
not
star
listening.
players. When you're on about star players, I am going on about the 3 or 4 best
Thomas
players in your team.
Partey is the star. Was the season before the star midfielder for Arsenal as a DM. He
Mm.
was
He's right.
arguably one of the best DMs at
He's
the
right there.
31 games he played. He
Mm.
was injured in the beginning of the season, and they had to get Rice, Havertz as the 8th. The plan, as we see it now, when Thomas Partey is fit, he
Mhm.
is the DM for Arsenal.
Mhm.
So me
Mm.
saying the Arsenal went on last season with Thomas Partey being injured,
Mhm.
and they managed to stay toe to toe with
Right.
Manchester City.
Mhm.
I'm asking you the question that Ahmed asked.
Okay, Mo,
If-
Mo,
Can I ask the question? I haven't even asked the question.
because you also brought up another player,
I
Yuri
love
Timber.
you, Tom.
How can
but
Yuri
you gotta
and Tim-
let me
how
finish
can-
the question?
No, because you're gonna ask the question. We're gonna move on from the point. I need to stick on the
What?
point because the other player you
but
mentioned was
that
Yuri
is
and
the
Timber.
point.
The other player you mentioned was Yuri and fucking Timber. How is Yuri and
And I
Timber
can
a
ex-
star player?
No. Ahmed said starters. Ahmed said the
Yes.
starters.
No, he said
I
By
said
the way,
keyword
players.
starters. Yes.
No, he said
Ahmed
star
didn't
players.
say the stars. Ahmed
He
said
said star-
starters. Go back.
Ahmed, I thought you said star players, not starters. I thought you said
I might
star
have said
players.
one of those
I
two.
know what
can't
Ahmed
remember now.
means. The thing
Yeah,
about
that's
it
such a
is that
politician answer.
Tom, hold
There
on.
we go.
Star
Let's just
players
stop,
and star
stop,
is a
Ahmed.
vastly different
Tom,
conversation.
Tom, let me just get that straight. Your starters, actually, half of them are stars.
To be honest,
Allison is a star. Trent is a star. Van Dijk is a star. I'm naming the starters,
Salah.
which in the same time,
Yeah, we got 4 of them.
McAllister is a star. You have 5 players, half your starters. And so both words can go, Tom. And they are so influential to the point that imagine losing Van Dijk to an injury, Salah, McAllister. And now, by the way, Tom, we're asking you the question. We're not saying you're going to fall down. Ahmed
Yeah.
just asked the question. And let me just double down before you go on the Timber thing. Do you know how many left backs Arsenal played last season? It was clear as a day that Arsenal bought Julius Timber to play as a left back. They tried Zinchenko, Kivior, Tomiyasu. They tried everyone at that position.
Yeah.
And that makes Julius Timber, and let me just finish the point, that makes Julius Timber a starter and an essential part of the team. The question to you, Tom, which is Ahmed asked, do you have enough depth to cover your stars as starters? That is the question, Tom. Can you
Yes.
answer it, please?
Yes.
Rationally, Habibi. Calm
Yes.
down. Calm down.
They've
I
got
mean,
Bradley and there's Jota.
I disagree on the point that Yuri and Tim's a star player, but that's a different argument. Yes, we do have enough depth because we showed it last year. Ironically, when we started to fall off was when all our players came back. When our fall off started when Salah, Alisson, not Van Dijk, who's the other one? Trent, all them were reintroduced in the team during our bad spell. Before that, when you had Bradley, Kelleher, Diaz
Jota, was
or Elliott on the right, like Jota was up front, but even he got injured. I think at a point we were running fucking. I mean, Bobby Clark was playing. He's now been sold to Salzburg, but we were running fucking youth players there. But we made it work. The depth is there. Is it?
Are we in a position to win the league? No, because we were in a position to win the league last year and we've not strengthened. And I think unless it take a minor fucking miracle from Arne Slot to win the league at this point, and I don't think that's going to happen. But are we in a good enough position to consolidate what we done last year? Yes. Do I wish we could have made some signings? Yes. And the fact that we haven't is really fucking disappointing. But that doesn't mean that we're going to necessarily fall off a cliff. I'm fine with the depth that we have. It's not title-winning depth, but it's depth. It's good enough depth to finish there again.
By a
See,
comfortable
when you
margin
calm
as well.
down, you can answer the question. See, when you calm down,
because
you can answer the
Liverpool's
question rationally.
Yes, because we're not saying stupid shit like Andy Robertson could never defend.
I think we
We
found
moved on from that point. We moved on from that point.
we found Tom's
Yeah,
trigger
we moved
points
on.
basically.
because
Robertson.
Liverpool
Yeah.
have game winners, they have game breakers. As we saw last season, they have Salah, they have Trent, they have Van Dijk, they have Alisson. So even like in the game against Ipswich, where first half they weren't necessarily that impressive, it takes one moment for the left back to switch off, and then it's a world class ball by Trent into a world class player like Salah, and then they win the game from there. So it's even though Liverpool probably won't challenge for the title, they've clearly got enough quality in respect to their elite players to still shore up at least third place. I'd be staggered if they didn't, if they didn't finish in at least third. I think that would be amazing.
A lot of the work we done was about fixing the systematic problems, and in that first game, a lot of this. If we played that game last season, we probably draw. If I'm being completely honest, we draw because we give up even more chances. Like we gave up a couple counter attacks off corners, which first of all, I don't know why the fuck our corner setup is leave just one man back and then not win the fucking first ball and then go, oh my god, we're being counter attacked.
He also made a very bold change as well, didn't he? Like he literally took off Kwanzaa and basically came out and said, yeah, he wasn't good enough in terms of duels. And like Canals came on, and as you say, you were far more defensively solid thereafter. So fair play to Slot for that.
Like he seems to be a lot more pragmatic than Klopp was, and a lot more sort of clinical. Klopp would have let Kwanzaa try and play it out of his system and keep going. Slot just went, we're not winning enough duels. That's why we can't get up the pitch and sustain shit. So you're coming off, you're coming on, win the duels, we'll get off the pitch more. And that was exactly. And the fact that he did that and it worked so fucking effectively because we played so well in that second half. That's going to be. People aren't going to like this because of it. That's going to be as big as a new signing. The fact that we're not as open on counter attacks and we're not as open in terms of being attacked, because that's what fucked us over in a lot of games last season. Like we let United back into the game because we were so open. We let Palace beat us because we were so open, and they should have scored more than one. Everton, we were so open. Now there's a lot more structure and a lot more of a system to what we do. Now, it's not going to be enough to win us a title because we have two better teams ahead of us. But it fixed the biggest problem that we had last year in terms of teams worse than us could get results against us because we played into their hands.
I don't understand why people, Tom, are not scared of Liverpool. I really don't get it.
So
because we don't have a DM.
I think it was that and your scoring, like the chance you missed.
I think Liverpool were good in the second half, maybe not great, but I watched Liverpool in the preseason. I'm expecting actually Liverpool to get better. And there are reasons why I expect that, because people actually think that Arne Slot just started coaching yesterday. The guy has been coaching for 8 years, by the way. Like, he has experience in coaching. And I think the way he speaks, and it makes a difference, the way he speaks, the bold move, as Nobbins mentioned, of subbing a center back after 45 minutes because he was just not good enough. I think it's all signs of a good manager. Yes, he wasn't given the tools to work by signing a DM, but I still think if Liverpool can hang in there and they get a DM in January, I think Liverpool can be in the conversation. I'm not saying they have the same percentage to win it as Manchester City and Arsenal, but I believe, and I have been saying this every season, and Nobbins, I think me and Nobbins agree on this. We've spoken for years now about this. The difference makers sometimes get you out of jail. Sometimes you'll have just a 3 points or 9 points within some games that you're struggling, and a Salah or a Van Dijk or an Alisson just win you the 3 points. Not every team have 5 of them. By the way, Man City had Gundogan, had Kevin De Bruyne to get them out of jail. I remember Cancelo was one of these cards. Cancelo used to come up with the goods sometimes out of nowhere. Liverpool have Salah, Trent, Van Dijk can win you the game. You can win 1-0 having Van Dijk at the back, just 1-0.
Allison,
Having Van
too.
Dijk, Allison,
Yeah.
Allison.
Robert, clutch players,
And I
man, clutch
think
players.
people,
Darwin Nunez.
no, but also
Was life.
I'm gonna
Yeah, that
say
was
the
too
last
far, bro.
name.
Too far.
I'm gonna say the last name that absolutely I hate it when people downplay that guy. And I know that me and HUSAM, he thinks he's gonna get injured. Diego Jota is a difference maker if he plays up top and on the left. He's an absolute difference maker. If Liverpool can manage his minutes, I think this guy can be the difference between Liverpool getting closer to Arsenal and Manchester City or falling behind the pack. If Liverpool can manage this
Diogo
guy's
Jota
minutes,
for me is the second best finisher in the league, and I've said that for a number
it's
of
fucking
years now.
phenomenal. Like sometimes in front of the goal, how did you think about leaving the ball with your right foot and leaving it to your left foot to open the angle for yourself to finish it? That is not easy to think about at the moment. And he does these things.
For me, Haaland's ahead of him, and there's an argument, and I can occasionally hear an argument for Heung-min Son being ahead of him. But outside of that, I don't think there's any other finishers in the league as good and as complete as Diogo Jota is. Left foot, right foot, in the air, anywhere within the 18, he can score.
Efficiency, too.
Do you reminds me of as an older person, Robbie Fowler.
That's what my dad always says to me when he watches him. It's like
he reminds me of Robbie Fowler. It's just like
City legend.
it's in. I used to the other day I was on the stream with Mo, and I said the thing about Liverpool is this: they've got players who are inevitable, and I still believe that. It's like Salah is an inevitable player, and as long as you have certain players who are that, I think people discounting Liverpool they're wishing more than the reality. And I think even without signing, which is dangerous, like you should never go into the season with essentially the same things you went last season, if I'm losing some of them. But even without that, Liverpool is still so much of a well-oiled machine that those players just know what to do, right? Even if Arne Slot tries to change the tactics, there's some behaviors that still are going to be embedded in them because they've had so many years of coaching on the club. So when the going gets tough, they can just sort of fall back into just the natural behavior.
Old habits. Yeah.
Old habits, exactly. Old habits die hard.
Exactly. They still got like another base of tactics, basically. If Onslaught thing doesn't necessarily work in the game, they still have Klopp's basically thing that he's taught them.
Exactly. So that's why I think that when people think that Liverpool will drop off that much, I think it's wishful thinking. I think as long as Mo Salah can still hit the heights, which he still does, and even if he loses a yard of pace, he's still a quality player. I think they're going to be dangerous, and I think most teams will not want to play Liverpool at Anfield at 4:30 on a Sunday night. That's just my thing.
I mean, Mo Salah, there's no words to describe the greatness of that man. I think the stat is 300 goal contributions in 350 games for us.
Mad.
So that means it takes 7 games on average for him to not score or assist. Every other game he either scores or assists. That is fucking mental. And all the achievements that he's done, the consistency, he's done it in good teams, he's done it in bad teams. And Saturday, he was our best attacker on the day, especially in the first half. He was the only guy who could make something stick up there in terms of getting us forward and beating a man. And in the second half, he showed us quality. I like a lot of what I've seen from Arne Slot. I like a lot of what I'm seeing from the club at the minute. On the pitch, off the pitch is a different kettle of fish. We need to get some deals done because even though I thought he had a decent game on Saturday, Ryan Gravenberch is not your long-term 6. He's not Rodri level.
He can do a job.
He can do a job.
He is the biggest project going. If Arne Slot can turn Ryan Gravenberch into a good 6. That will be one of the best pieces of player developments I've seen from anyone at Liverpool because that man last season could not defend to save his life. And now we're trying to put him in the most defensive position in the midfield. He was good, but again, it's just all these different kettle of fishes. With Jota as well, it's a case of I know how good he is, but when is he going to stay? He's not given us an injury-free season in his career. The best he gave us was missing a month and a half with a foot injury. That's the best we've ever got out of him. He averages about 2.5 to 3 months missed the season, which is a real problem. We can't replace him when he's gone as well because we don't exactly have a clinical finisher on the bench in a certain Uruguayan who didn't even come on. So it'll be an interesting one. Look,
I'm happy with what I've seen. I do think that for the most part, we'll be fine this season in terms of achieving what we did last season and consolidating, but we're not going to take the next step, I don't think, and challenge for the league even closer than we did last year and take it further than we did last year. And I do think that left back, depending on the way Arne Slot wants that left back to play, depending on the dynamics of the right back, if he plays Trent and Robertson like he did in the second half, it'll be fine. If he plays them like he did in the first half, Andy Robertson is going to struggle. But all our left backs are going to struggle because we don't have a left back who's comfortable on his right as he is on his left, and we're selling Joe Gomez, so you lose your only right-footed left back option.
Yeah, Liverpool. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No,
I was just going to say that Liverpool will definitely be in the title race in the last 5 to 10 games, but it's very unlikely that they win it. I was just going to say that history tells us that a manager in their first ever season in with a new club in their first Premier League season, history tells us they don't win the title. It's happened 3 times, I think.
Chelsea.
Conte did it with Chelsea, and that was first season Pep. There's always an asterisk to all these. You could argue Pellegrini did it, but that was post Fergie United, first season there, and then Mourinho did it
as well.
Sorry, you're right. Yes, Ancelotti did it. Chelsea did it 3 times. Yeah, Ancelotti did it, and then Mourinho did it when he brought.
That's when we had a spine. We had the elite spine of
That's why I said, unless you're a Chelsea football club.
Yeah, exactly. So it's unlikely that Slot will win the title, but they'll obviously still be there. There won't be this massive dropping off a cliff thing. Liverpool are too good for that.
Yeah. Guys, we got over 500 people here. We need to get to 400 likes. Hit that like button underneath your live chat. Let me do a couple of these super chats before we go to Arsenal. Ilkay Gundogan has to leave Barcelona this window. He doesn't have to. City are bidding to take him back. I think that he will be massive improvement in the midfield. I think Arsenal should be all over this deal, but they got Mikel Moreno already.
He wouldn't go to Arsenal anyway. Hello?
I love the fact that
that's our captain. He's not going to go to Arsenal.
If he goes to Arsenal,
Man City's Gundogan replacements is just Gundogan himself. We couldn't replace him, so we'll just get him back.
It was the easiest solution after all. It's under our noses all this time.
You try to get out and they pull you right back in.
Honesty here, Tom, just saying, we got the money to spend. We don't have any PSR or FFP problems. For some reason, our new sporting director still think he is a Bournemouth.
No,
you might get more manageability, so that might be the good side.
We've got money. We've got money. It's just a case of we run a flawed recruitment model of first choice target or no signing, and then the issue with that can work if you've got a perfectly if you're trying to replace a Mo Salah, it's highly unlikely that your second choice target's going to be as good. So you've got quality there already, so you don't need to worry about it. We have Endo at DM. The bar isn't very high at DM. So for you to say that only our first choice could improve us is a lie. And that's where it falls apart. If you were saying, we're trying to replace Diogo Jota, yes, I'd understand that your second choice probably isn't as good, so it's worthwhile waiting it out. We're trying to replace Wataru Endo here. The bar isn't very fucking high. You can't tell me that you couldn't find another fucking DM in the world not called Martin Zubimendi who could offer you more.
Mr. Tom Little, you're very cute. Are you single? Thank you, Donna Collin. She's taken. Going to Arsenal. No, Tom is cute anyway.
What?
He's cute anyway. He's young, cute. He's nice.
All right, Mo, chill.
Isn't he half my age?
This is not.
Exactly. You're about to catch a case. This is wild.
Can you just say no Diddy after that? Just say no Diddy.
Don't say pause, bro. Just like that, please, man.
I don't do the pause thing. Bro,
you could
I'm
be
way
his
past
father.
this shit,
Seek
bro.
some shame immediately.
I am really past this shit, bro. I'm like, I don't do this, bro. Anyway, going to Arsenal, to be honest. Tom, you're past this. You're not 17. Come here. Come to the camera.
Come to the camera. What is going on?
I'm not shy.
What is going on? What the fuck?
What is going
Tom
on?
might need to file sexual harassment too at this point.
Anyway, Arsenal though. I don't know why. Arsenal though. What is Is there
Well,
any
it is.
difference in Arsenal last season and this season? Did anybody see any difference at all?
No.
One
No,
game,
the main difference is the strength of the bench in terms of that game of the other day. But in terms of like how they set up on the pitch, I think it was, unless I'm missing something, it was as we were. Rice, or rather towards the end of last season, Rice was in his more advanced position. It was Partey in the middle, Saka cooking, Odegaard cooking. It seemed to be same Arsenal as far as I could tell in terms of general players. The main difference was the strength and depth on the bench. Unless I missed something.
No, I mean, you're right. It's the same. I mean, to be fair, look, it's going to be difficult to go even better than what we were last season, right? I think at this point, Arsenal are close enough to Man City in terms of just the way we play, right? I think I've said that now. The difference between Arsenal and Man City is that it's more the mentality of Man City go out and say, we're going to win a match. And I think there's still certain times when the Arsenal team still are trying to believe they're going to win certain matches. And I think it's mostly the big matches. So, people would say the Man City game last season. I think Anfield is still it's still a mental block at Anfield. We own Stamford Bridge, so that's not that much of a problem. But in terms of Arsenal, I think you're not going to see much drastic from Arteta because I think he's figured out what the style of football is going to be, what he wants his players to do. I think it's just now trying to get the right pieces into the team at certain points. I mean, Zinchenko wasn't too much of a liability on Saturday, but of course, I think there's going to be certain instances where you're going to have to take him out. So, in a game where you're going to control the ball more, you might play someone like Zinchenko. When you're not going to control the ball as much, you might bring in someone like a Timber or I don't know what Calafiore's defending is like, to be fair. So I'm not gonna try to speculate in that. But he might bring in a back. So it might be a better defender than better defender. So yeah, I think at this point now, I think what Arteta's built is now almost like a puzzle where he just sort of fits players based on the opposition and what the needs are. But in terms of just the fundamental of what the team what he wants from the team, I think that's now established. And yeah, it was good just to see that we could just go out there, get our 3 points, 2-0, put in the bag, and then start preparing for next week, right? There was no massive scares apart from the header that Raya did well to sort of reposition his body to save.
How do you see Arsenal this season, Nolan? Same, more chances than City to win the league?
Well, it depends on their incomings. I don't quite know what the situation is with their signings because obviously the transfer window isn't closed yet. In terms of the signings they've currently brought in, Calafiori and Timber technically because he's basically cliche new signing, etc. That mainly goes to how good they are defensively. So if it's a straight swap for Zinchenko and Calafiori, it makes them a lot better defensively. I would say that from my perspective, Arsenal's issue last season wasn't defensively, of course, because they were probably the best defensive side in the world, to be honest. So I don't know if Calafiori on his own would be the difference maker. This is why maybe Moreno would, or another midfield signing would, because there were a lot of games last season, not a lot, but 5 or 6 in the Premier League where Arsenal failed to score a goal. And that was more than City. City was only 3 games where they failed to score a goal. And that's ultimately why Arsenal didn't win the title, because in those crucial moments, they didn't have someone able to break the game in the same way that...
Can you repeat that again, the number of games again? Say that again.
So last season, City failed to score in 3 games in the Premier League. Arsenal, I believe it was 5.
It should be 4 because the Aston Villa game, they scammed us out of a goal in the last minute. So I'm making 4 games.
and you look at it, you go, oh, it's only 2 games. But margins matter at the highest level. When you're coming up against Pep's Manchester City, these fine margins matter. And so obviously Arsenal scored a lot of goals, and it's why a lot of people say, well, it wasn't an issue of scoring goals because we scored nearly as many as City. But there are a lot of games where there was a high concentration of goals, when they battered West Ham like 1,000,000 or something. But then there were some games where they failed to score. That we touched on, if Liverpool are in that situation, someone like Salah does that. If City are in that situation, Foden did it last season, for example. If they don't bring in a player who can do that, then someone will have to step up and do that. So maybe this is a season,
Saka.
for example, maybe this is the season for Saka to
Saka,
step
bro.
up and become
I
that
see
guy.
it, Nobbins. I see it, Nobbins. I see it. The guy Saka, this is the season.
I agree.
The guy Saka is the savior.
I agree. If
He's
there's any
not
player
good enough.
currently for Arsenal, it will be Saka. If they don't bring in another player.
And also, there's one player I'm looking at
before
Ahmed, you go on. Odegaard, 24 years old or 25 years old now. You are now playing the role in that midfield to now provide that. Get something out of the box. I did in the Champions League with the pass to Trossard. Do that more often. When Arsenal are struggling to create a chance, you do it. And I think I'm looking at Odegaard and Saka, and I think these two can be the difference maker for them. For
It'll be a
Arsenal.
big season for
We
them.
have the
Can they
talent.
step up? That's the question.
And they have Trossard at the very least off the bench. I can give them goals whenever you need. So like I've said this before. With Arsenal, it's just going to be those key games and key moments. That's what it's going to come down to if you're going to beat Manchester City. What happened last season? Maybe because Aston Villa was that game. This season there may be a game when that happens, and you just need someone to take the game by the scruff of the neck and just get that goal. Simple as that, really.
I'll say this.
Tom is so quiet.
I'll say this.
I'm not listening. I'm enjoying this.
Don't it's gonna be
Chilling.
weird for me to say this. I think don't underestimate what Havertz might bring to Arsenal this season, because I know everyone said Arsenal is a striker, and I do agree to an extent.
Ahmed
I
is
think
holding his laugh.
I think
What do you mean, bro? I'm not saying anything, man.
I think that basically the reason why I think there's probably reluctance to get a striker from Arsenal is likely because the way Arsenal play doesn't require someone who just stands up top and makes a run behind. I think the player has to be more involved in the game. But I think the reason why I say Havertz will probably be a difference maker, well, could potentially be a difference maker if he just gets a rocket up his, is that his height and his ability just to attack the ball when it's in the air is just crucial. And I think that's something that in the past Arsenal's dimension always been limited in terms of we were very good at having the ball on the ground. Even when we had someone like Giroud, who's fantastic in the air, we just never used to put the ball in the air. And I think now with someone like a Havertz who, look, he's not going to pull up any trees. I mean, I was joking around when I said he's going machine for machine against Haaland. That will never happen. But I think that, just that extra dimension of being able to just put the ball in the air and say, you know what, just attack the ball. It gives Arsenal something different. But I think also as well, Arteta, and this is my belief, I don't know, I'm not on a trading ground, so I can't speak specifically to this. But I think the reason why Arteta sort of likes someone like him and a Jesus, rather than just getting someone who is an out-and-out striker, is just the ability to drop back. And actually, last season when he was playing in the left centre mid, you saw a lot of interchange between him and Jesus, especially when the ball came from Raya. In terms of he would push up front, Jesus would drop into midfield. So that sort of tactical flexibility, players who can play multiple positions, is sort of maybe the reason why you don't see Arteta sort of running to get a striker. And it's just about the players have to figure it out on the pitch as much as possible.
I'm going to say something else to what Olo said. I actually think Gabriel Jesus can be the difference for Arsenal this season. He looks so fit, looks so sharp. He might not be the guy to get you 20 goals, but I think off the bench, I think Gabriel Jesus might offer something else. Him off the bench, where he's not tasked to score a goal. If Arsenal are in need for a goal, Gabriel Jesus might be that guy to unlock defenses by a pass, by a dribble. I think he looks so sharp. He looks so fit in pre-season. And I think even when he came on the bench, he looks hungry. And I think people forget that Gabriel Jesus was not a bad player for City. He wasn't a striker like Haaland, but he wasn't a bad player for Manchester City. And I think he can be a weapon off the bench. Arsenal have weapon. Trossard. There is Saka. There is Jesus. There is Havertz. I don't know about Martinelli because I'm yet to see the Martinelli of 2 seasons ago. Yeah. But I think Gabriel Jesus provides something else as well.
I think Arsenal, the big thing for me with Arsenal this year is mentality. I think that's the only thing that could stop them winning this league. Mentality. Are they, when the going gets tough, are they going to knuckle down, or is it going to be a case of, oh, it's happening again for fuck's sake, and then wilt away? No, I don't know which one it's going to be. I've seen teams in the past that have done both things. I think Arsenal are going to be the team that knuckles down and gets on with it and finally gets over the hump, just based on everything I've seen of them in the past 2 years. But there is the potential of the other side of things. I think that as a defensive unit, they're so solid, and as an attack, it's a case of, is someone else gonna take some of the load off Saka? Just because I think that Martinelli, Havertz can do it, but is Havertz going to be played as an 8 this year, or is he going to be the striker? Like, he's played multiple roles in pre-season. If he plays up front, I think he can take the load off Saka a bit. I'm looking mainly at Martinelli, though. If Arsenal are to win the league, Martinelli needs to put up better numbers than he did last season. It needs to be
sort of spread out across the front line a little bit more than sort of right side focused, just because I think teams will then start to try and neutralise that entire right hand side in terms of White and Saka, whether it works or not. But that's what their setup will then try and be. That's where you really want your Martinelli to step up and go, right, if you're going to double up on Saka and leave me free, that's a mistake because I'm going to do this and that. And if he can do that, I think I genuinely think if Martinelli can put up numbers close to what he put up 2 years ago, Arsenal win the league, no problem.
I think
I don't see a weakness.
I think to that point, if and it's always like, you know, when you're on the offside and you support teams, it's always see the positives. But I think if teams do decide, hey, we're going to actually just block the right side and put most of the focus in terms of just players just rushing to the right side of Arsenal each time to get the ball, I think you will see a better Martinelli, because basically the problem with Martinelli is that if he has 2 players on him and he has to run, he just gets into a blind alley and he just sort of dribbles into a space where then he has to pass back or not make the right choice. But if you're giving him a one-on-one sort of run against a right back and you're saying, right, just go past them, and you know, the season where he actually played well, you saw that actually a lot of time when he played well with Xhaka sort of playing high up the pitch, was taking away focus from other players, and that allowed him to go one-on-one with players. I think that will be dangerous. So yes, don't get me wrong, the rest of the team needs to step up, and I think to an extent they did step up last season, because the number of goals that we scored was spread out across the whole team. You know, different types of goals, headers, corners. Odegaard was getting goals, etc., etc. I think if the sort of focus changes to, right, let's try to neutralize the right hand side of Arsenal, we might see a benefit from the left hand side with someone like a Trossard or even a Martinelli. But I do agree with you, Tom. Like, saying this right now, in theory, practically also needs to happen as well. So the players do need to get their proverbial kick up the arse and get the goals that are needed to essentially push us up and win the league by 10 points.
10 points. I think you're gonna win the league
Yeah,
by 10 points.
That's my shoot for the star goal for the season. As if I'm in the changing room and telling the players that this is what you need to do, basically. But yeah, 10 points is what I'm going by.
I think as it stands, the only thing that will stop Arsenal winning the league this season is the fact that City won't.
It's Pep Guardiola, bro. That's literally what's gonna stop them, bro. The guy that's gonna stop this Pep Guardiola.
It's the fact that City won't give them a better chance than they had last season, or for reasons that City did and didn't do. City never in the past under Guardiola have went 6 games without a win, and they did that last season. And both us and Arsenal never capitalised on that. And then when we went on our bad spells, City just won every game, and then the gap that you had that you felt was pretty big gets fucking eaten up like that, and you're going shit. And as well last season, I know that City weren't, as affected by it, but they missed Kevin De Bruyne for 6 months, Haaland for about 3, and John Stones missed a collective of about 4, I think, just through constant on and off injuries and not really featuring as much. If 2 out of them 3 stay fit for the whole season, that's worth an extra 6 points, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I agree with the people in the chat. I'm sorry. When Arsenal had 7 points lead or 5 points lead, we said they're never going to have another chance. And last season, the season ended in the last game. Arsenal are getting better. The depth is better. Man City haven't signed anyone that to improve the team unless they go and sign Gundogan.
Savio.
No, but Mo,
Savio is good and everything.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
I know Nobbins, guys, before we go, I know Nobbins have to go, but I know. But guys, Nobbins has put out a video about the game yesterday, analyzing the game. So Nobbins, go watch it. Nobbins' channel is in the description of the channel. It is very simple for you to go and absolutely subscribe to its channel and watch the video. It's the last video. You don't have to do anything. Just click on the channel and it will take you to the last video of Nobbins. It's very, very simple. Right?
Also,
it will show the video.
Like it. Yeah. Alongside watching it, like it.
Yeah, give it a watch. It's called How Doku Beat Chelsea's Block.
Actually, it's about Doku, so don't like it. Actually, no.
See you guys.
See you, Nobbins. Appreciate you.
Sorry, before you go, Tom, I was just going to say, actually, though, on Arsenal, actually, our issue was towards the end of last year, not the end of the season, because actually we went on a pretty decent run.
It was December It was
It was
December where the
December.
problems were.
We lost all our points in December, and essentially, and obviously against Aston Villa when we lost at home. And I think that's look. I always think with Arsenal, there's always going to be a bad spell. Actually, with most teams in the Premier League, that's why no one ever finishes with 100 and whatever it is, 24 points, wherever the math
2 or
is.
3 games, man. That's what it usually is.
Yeah. So there's always going to be a point. I think the what needs to happen for a team to beat Man City is just that you have to make sure that point differential you have between yourself and City isn't too large, and then you have to be able to match them. We essentially matched them once we got to that Villa game, and we absolutely shat the bed. And if that didn't happen, we'd have been champions. So, and I know there's a lot of ifs. I think, if anything, I'll just say another if now. But if anything, Arsenal need to be able to sort of replicate some of that form we had last season towards the end of the season. And I think the good thing is that every time you fail, there's a learn. Oh God, I sound so much like a motivational speaker now. Each time you fail,
you need to get into the dressing room, bro. You know what I mean?
yeah, I know, right?
Maybe in January, start telling them, listen, last 6 months.
Yeah,
Listen, man, keep pushing on.
But seriously though, each time you fail, and look, even as a Liverpool fan, you know this. Each time you fail, there's an opportunity to also learn, and the players will want the feeling of what it feels like not to win something, but as well, I think tactically as well, the coach learns, okay, what are the mistakes I made? Where were the signs where I could see players were tired or my formations weren't great?
There is a tipping point now. Like I completely agree with you. If you lose out to City narrowly, you learn. And I think the second time you lost out to them narrowly, I think you're going to learn again. If you lose out to them narrowly for the third time, it gets to a point where the players go, fuck this. And then
It's a mental.
it fucks their head. The one thing I will say about City is, Mo said it earlier, Arsenal had a 7-point gap in 22-23. 7 points isn't enough against City. You need double figures. You need double figures because City can do these runs.
But you will never get double figures, Tom. That's not going to happen.
But my whole point is that last season, City opened the door for one of us to get double points gaps, and we never did. Because, like I said, they've never went 6 games without winning a game before. They dropped, I think 4 of them games were in the Premier League. 1 of them was a loss and 3 of them were draws. That's 3 points out of a possible 12. If our teams had won all their games in that time, that would have been a 9-point swing. And then you've probably already got a point, and that's your 10 points that you need to hold off. But we've never done that. And then when we had our bad run at the end of the season in April, and City never dropped the points. And Arsenal,
I want to actually add on
only
quickly
dropped 3. And Arsenal's spell was in December, and City lost against Villa, and then that kickstarted their entire rest of the season where they never lost again. So in those runs where we both had our bad spells, City capitalized, whereas when they had their bad spell, we didn't. And that it was the same thing.
By the way, I'm going to say something. Ahmed is going to say something, but I actually think Arsenal are better than Manchester City, and they were better than Manchester City the majority of last season.
Don't say the quiet part out loud.
Last season, that was. I'll be honest. Last season, that was true.
Last season, the margins were very small, and I think in the big ISO, yes, City won the league at the end, right? But I still think in terms of like when I'm watching both teams, margins, you can choose which team, but the margins were very close, very, very close. And it showed in the 2 games between the 2 teams. Yeah. Like, that's not crazy. But City won it, and then they won it with 2 points. It's the same when Liverpool lost by 1 point twice. The 2 teams were very close to each other. You can say, because these are small margins. There is a difference between when City win it by 6-7 points and when they win it in the last game. City last season won it because Son did this or because Arsenal couldn't score in that game. But overall, I think they were very close to each other, if not equal to each other. So I think Arsenal have as big of a chance of last season to win the title this season.
I think for me, I was going to say, because the point I was going to make here was the point of like, you can't go 3 years without winning the title. Because for me, if you do it, if this year you don't win it, like I think for me personally, and I'll say this again, that is like the mental break period, and I just don't see how the team can recover from that. That's why for me this season more than ever, you have to actually as a team you actually have to win it. For me personally,
I thoroughly disagree with that. The reason why I thoroughly disagree is that is because you remember this are players who've been playing football since they were bloody 5 years old. They go through a lot of stuff, right? And I think sometimes we overstate this sort of mental breakdown thing that happens. I think as long as they're motivated, and to some extent, there might be some demotivation when they think you just can't beat this team. But it took it took Arsenal a long time to beat Man City, and eventually we beat them, right? So you could say that, you know, the run should continue because the past couple of years should have sort of, you know, the batterings that we got from them when we lost 5-0 and we lost at home, whatever the scores were, would have an effect on the players. But eventually they put it together and they decided, actually, no, we're going to beat them. And you saw the gap getting closer and closer. I think to most points, and I think to most people who might not want to admit it, Arsenal and Man City are a lot closer in quality than people would want to give credit for. I think
Oh yeah,
there are small
you wouldn't be in this situation of challenging them
Yes.
as close
Thank
as
you.
you without
Exactly.
being
Thank
close.
Yes, you wouldn't
Exactly.
be if you were. No one would be saying you're going to be second or even like competing with them if we didn't.
Exactly. But I think sometimes people just look at Man City as this unstoppable juggernaut, which I don't believe they are, because look, Man United beat them in the FA Cup, so they are beatable. They didn't win the I was going to say Carling Cup. Jesus Christ, my age. They didn't win the League Cup last year, which shows they are beatable. You know, they won the Premier League by 2 points, which means they lost games in the league. They didn't win the Champions League, which shows they're beatable. So they're not an unstoppable team. I do agree, though, that you have to capitalize when you have the positions, but to do so. But at the same time, I think when you focus too much on Man City, and in any sport you play, when you focus on your opponents rather than your own race, that's when you're more likely to fail. So I'll look at it and say, if Man City drop points, it doesn't matter. Just go out and win your game. It doesn't matter if they drop points or don't drop points. You have to just keep winning your games. And if you do that, you end up being champion. If you don't, and you sort of look behind you and go, oh, it's got to January and the inevitable is happening, they're going to go an 18-game run, that's when you start to drop points. And to be honest, I felt like when we lost the game against Villa, it's because the nerves were there with the fans. And also
You're
probably
thinking about City.
we're thinking more about City than thinking about winning our game.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a sense of inevitability of, listen,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what City have done. We're just going to go out there and win. And that's, I think, that seeped through to the players in that one game. And that's why even when we went 1-0 down, I think if we had played that in February, I think there's a reality, there might be a reality that Arsenal would have turned that game around. But all of a sudden, I think the nerves just hit in when we consider that first goal that came from the fans into the players.
100%. Listen, people, can we get to 300 likes? There's 30 likes away from 300, guys. There's about 500 people here. Can we get to 300 likes? I think this is it for today. It's a brilliant show, over-analyzing the first game of the Premier League. Friday, we'll talk about the weekend. We'll talk about, of course, Arsenal playing Villa. We'll talk about Man City. We'll talk about Chelsea and all this. But listen, I want to appreciate Ahmed for coming on, filling in for Dan, who's not here, and Rory couldn't keep, so Olo filled in for his place rationally. Olo as well. Hopefully Rory gets better, of course. I want to just say, Tom just put in a video about an hour ago on his channel, Tom Little. Didn't you go live?
Yeah, I did,
Right?
yeah.
An hour ago. So guys, go and subscribe to Tom's channel. It is in the description. Also, the bridge, Ahmed's channel, is in the description as well. What's coming up? Tell us.
Obviously, you can check last night's live stream about the match review. I actually went into quite a bit of detail about what went wrong, right? Tonight, of course, I have my transfer show, which I always do, and we'll discuss a bit more about the game. And obviously, we're playing Conference League playoff on Thursday, so you know we can discuss that too.
With
And,
Napkins FC.
I don't have a channel, so I just have to end up by saying something at the end of each stream. So if you want to see something that's going to make you laugh, just try to find a compilation of Enzo trying to press yesterday. It is hilarious. It is comedy of the year. Watching Enzo trying to press. If I might just get the whole game and try to clip it up together of every time Enzo tried to press. Beautiful.
And tonight, guys, I might do a transfer show. I might not, but tomorrow I'll have Don on the channel, and also we have Rivals Rumbles tomorrow.
Oh
evening,
yeah, so you can
hopefully.
see us there. You can see me there on Rivals Rumble too. So
Yeah. You
Interesting.
can see Ahmed on Rivals Rumble, and we'll see you guys soon. And we're out of here, people. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
peace.